In the fifth part of this Harnessing AI to Become a DevOps Pro series, I will learn about infrastructure as code. And according to my teacher, this is code to manage and provision the infrastructure, making it easier to automate and scale. Some of the most popular tools here are Terraform, Ansible, CloudFormation, and Pulumi. Previously, I only heard about Terraform and Ansible. Anyway, hopefully there will be some sort of hands-on task for this subject as well. And if so, I will be focusing on Terraform. How is IaaS, or infrastructure as code, used in practice? Let's say that I have a website and the traffic is making it slow. I want to know how IaaS can help me with this. So let me just ask Cleo. I have a website with a lot of traffic, so it's becoming slow. How can I use IaaS to help me with this? So, by the way, since this is AI, if you ask Cleo the exact same question, you will probably get a different answer, but it's probably somewhere near, but probably not the exact same one. So, IaaS is a powerful tool to help manage and scale infrastructure to handle increased traffic efficiently. Here are some steps you can take. So, you can automate the infrastructure deployment. So I guess that, you can quickly replicate an environment. That means that if I have one server, I can probably duplicate it multiple times and then have a load balancing server in front of there. Scale the resources. Yes, that's a little bit of the same. Instead of using multiple servers, you can just scale the resources on the server. You can use load balancing. That will say that if you visit a server, and the load balancing server will send the user to one of the available servers. Caching, database scaling, monitoring and alert. CI/CD, so it's a little bit of things that we have learned about previously in the series. For example, CI/CD. This is something that's coming up soon, and similar. Okay, so at least now I know a little bit of how IaaS can help me. So even though this is a little bit too much information and stuff that I don't really understand everything about, I think it's a good explanation. So what can be the next smart thing to learn? I want to ask Cleo what she thinks is a good next step. I think that maybe learning one of the tools like Terraform is a good next step, so I can get some hands-on practice, but let's see what she says. I think I understand what IaaS can help me with, at least. What do you think should be the next step for me in order to learn more about IaaS? So, understand the basics, yes, that's probably a little bit of what I've done now, but I can probably learn more by reading blog posts, watching videos, or just asking follow-up questions. Choose a tool. A popular tool will be Terraform, CloudFormation, Ansible. Terraform is open source. That's one of the reasons I like it, and it's also cross-platform, I think. Hands-on, set up a small project to practice writing IaaS script. Yes, cool. And I can use a cloud provider's free tiers to experiment without incurring costs. That's great. Read more online. Okay. Read documentation. Join communities. Probably be good to have some sort of, for example, Discord server where I can ask questions and similar. I can keep asking Cleo, but it's always nice to ask humans as well. Advanced features, get certifications and stay updated. That will say reading more blogs, webinars and similar. So I think these are good steps, and if I actually follow all 10 of these, I would probably learn and understand a lot of IaaS. So I think that I will try to cover step 2 and 3 now. I want to learn more about Terraform, so I can ask if she can give me some more information about Terraform. For step 2, can you give me some more information about Terraform, the pros and cons, etc. So yeah, as I said, it's open source, that's good, and it should also be cross-platform. I think I read that before. Yeah, supports multiple cloud platforms, so I can use AWS, Azure, Google Cloud, etc. It has its own language, HashiCorp configuration, yeah, cool. State management, it maintains a state file that tracks the current state of infrastructure. This allows Terraform to determine what changes need to be applied to reach the desired states. Modular, that's good. That's probably some sort of reusable parts, for example, maybe for a database server and similar. There's a large and active community. It's always good that you have a large and active open source community. That means that patches are sent out regularly and fixes are fixed soon. Offers a plan that shows a preview of the changes. Okay, version control. Yeah, you can store it directly in Git. That's probably, if I use this language, I probably have some sort of GitHub file that can be placed under version control. But that was the pros. So what's the cons? Okay, so it can be hard or complexity for the state management. The learning curve is straightforward. Okay. Mastering the concept and best practices can take time. Okay, I can understand that, because it's probably easy to do a task, but it's probably hard to make it correctly. Dependencies can be complex. Okay, yeah. So there are some cons, but nothing that really worries me when I read them. So in conclusion, Terraform is a powerful and flexible tool managing infrastructure as code, especially in multi-cloud environments. Its strength lies in provider-agnostic approach, modularity, and strong community support. However, it requires careful management and state and dependency. Okay. If you consider Terraform, it's a good idea to start with some sort of small project. Okay. So maybe that can be a great next step. Get some hands-on experience with IaaS. To understand these concepts that we have read about here and similar, I want to get some hands-on experience. Not sure if I can actually test anything locally or if I'm able to connect to my AWS. I have had some problems there lately, but let's see if I can do that. So let's just ask, can you show me a basic example of IaaS with Terraform? Probably get a good task here now. I'm not sure it is something I can actually do, but just reading this example clears up a few things. So you need an AWS account, install Terraform on your computer, and configure this, usually in this file. Okay. Create a directory for a Terraform configuration and then create a new file. For example, my Terraform project, and in there I have a main TF. So this TF file, I guess this is built on this HCL language, and in there here's a simple example of Terraform configuration to create an EC2 instance. Okay, so this will just create a new instance with this image, Amazon Linux 2, and T2 micro is the instance type, which is free tier eligible. Set the tag and the desired region. So the syntax here wasn't hard to understand. It looks a little bit like JSON, just not really. Open a terminal, and then I run this, and then I guess that when I run this, this is the dry run, and I won't make any actual changes. If everything looks good, apply the configuration to the EC2 instance. Terraform will prompt you to confirm making changes. Okay, so first this to initialize, and then we do this as a dry run to check the configuration, and then the Terraform apply. Once is completed, you can log into your Amazon Management Console just to see that the EC2 instance was created. Now you can run this to just delete it. Okay, so this was very easy to understand. I don't need to type this just for the sake of it. Yeah, this just creates a new instance. How about auto scaling? So let's ask to see a little bit more advanced example. Can you show me another basic example which includes auto scaling? Because that's something I guess can be very important to know more about. Okay, so this was a little bit longer and more complicated, but let's just go over it and see if it's understandable. So again, the prerequisites is this: create the folder and the TF file, and then we have the configuration. First, we begin with the provider, or where the region is. That's okay. Create a security group. This looks like it's something to allow HTTP traffic to come into your server via port 80, which is typical HTTP. A launch template contains information about the server you want to create. So for example, the launch template contains information that we want to have instance type this, image ID, Amazon Linux again, the name, and a little bit about network interfaces. So this is sort of just a template, and when this template is created, we can reuse it. And it looks like probably there's something same with this auto scaling group. The desired is that we have one server running, maximum 3, minimum size 1. This is just some sort of ID. Then we use the launch template from up here where we created this and set the tag. Then we have a load balancer, because we need a load balancer to distribute traffic throughout the probably 3 servers when you have a lot of traffic. And then we have a listener for the load balancer, so it listens on port 80 HTTP and forward it into this group, which probably is the server itself. And then we just go through this again like we did before. So we can read down here: security group allows HTTP traffic into the instances, defines the configuration for the instances in the auto-scaling group. Auto-scaling group manages the number of instances based on desired minimum and maximum capacity. That's good to be able to set this. The load balancer distributes incoming traffic across instances. The target group routes the requests to the instances, so from the load balancer into the target group, which then goes to instances, it looks like. And then the listener listens for incoming connections to the load balancer, forwarding them to this. So it sounds almost like I explained it myself. So this example was a bit more complicated than the very basic one, but I think it was possible to follow along anyways. So I think it's now time to summarize what we have learned today. In this video we have focused on IaaS, or infrastructure as code. And based on what I've learned today, I don't think this is something every DevOps usually work a lot with. I think this is probably something you set up and then you don't do it for a long time. But I might be wrong, of course. And the capabilities you get with Terraform seems to be incredibly useful if you're lucky enough to build a website or application that requires you to scale up your servers. Doing something like this manually usually takes a lot of time, so I can understand the importance of this topic. Anyways, my head almost hurts now from all this new information. In the next part of the series, we will learn more about the different cloud providers like AWS, Google Cloud and Azure. What is the difference between them? Is any of them easier to work with? What you typically deploy on them, etc. If you have any questions about today's video, feel free to leave a comment below and I will answer as soon as I can. See you in the next video.